Who is that gremlin munchkin looking like creature? Well, that's the mayor of Chicago celebrating. What do they have to celebrate for in Chicago? I mean, they got cold, crappy weather. That's nothing to celebrate. I mean, the sports ball teams aren't doing anything. What are they celebrating? Rising crime, maybe? And with the way things are going in our society, probably. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukradowski here of wearechange.org. All of this as the world is just becoming more of a strange place to live in. We have a lot of crazy news to get into, especially geopolitically, especially with what's happening all over the world. A potential new world alliance between some very interesting powers because of a conflict. We might see the end of a major industry that has been making a killing. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast has been highlighted and shared by a lot of people. I believe originally by Simone at Teba. Man, I am horrible at pronouncing names, but that's the accreditation given here to a lot of people asking the question, why do this? Seriously, lots of Beetlejuice comments highlighting a mayor having the time of her life, as life for her constituents have been pretty much worse off than ever than they have before. Poverty up, gun violence up, cost of living up, groceries up, bureaucracy, government intervention making your life miserable, up, 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 up. But hey, yeah, let's dance party. This, as it's important to note here, that crime has been skyrocketing in Chicago, a jurisdiction with some of the strictest anti-self-defense laws on the books, preventing people from being able to defend themselves against criminals. This is the same Democratic Party that disarms the average American, but calls for more arming of specifically Ukrainians, as there are many opinion op-ed pieces, probably sponsored by Lockheed Martin today, talking about the need to give Ukraine F-16 fighter jets. Now, we talked about this a week ago. We told you that since the tanks are coming in, it's only going to be a matter of time until the F-16s come in. Al Jazeera had an article today that was titled, F-16s would give Ukraine an advantage, but risk escalation, as of course there's been a lot of escalations in this global proxy conflict between the East and the West already. The President of the United States today so far has announced that the United States will not, at this time, be sending F-16s to Ukraine. This, as it's fair to say that the Western involvement and intervention here has prolonged this proxy conflict. And as we mentioned it from the very beginning when CNN was trying to tell you that this conflict would last 3 days, that there's a big potential for this conflict to last indefinitely, as it already has been going on for far longer than a lot of military strategists expected it to go. This, as the chaos, the destruction, the life loss of innocent human beings is going to be prolonged as the Russians and Ukrainians are preparing for a long, drawn-out conflict here. What does this mean? Well, international ramifications for the global economy, a destabilized Europe, a migrant crisis, but hey, record profits for the military-industrial complex there. You know, at least, you know, yeah, that they got that. That's really great. Huh. Nice. Hey, Hunter Biden might get some money too, as well, as it's important to note here that he received a lot of lucrative contracts from Ukrainian state-run government-connected private entities, as he was on the board of Burisma, while most likely writing hacking reports based on classified information that he was never supposed to have. This, as today, the son of the President of the United States is now being accused of exploiting another employee, allegedly threatening to withhold their cash and money from them if they didn't show their willies to them. This, as new text messages are being revealed here, showing the depravity of some really horrible exploitative behavior that should have the Me Too movement up in arms, but probably won't, since of course he's the son of the President of the United States under the Democratic Party establishment. Now, if his father was a Republican, woof, it'd be game over. All of this, as we have to remember, the global conflict that's happening right now is slowly and surely involving other countries to be engulfed in this conflict. This, as the New York Times today is reporting, how Iran and Russia are moving forward towards linking their banking systems together and finding ways to, of course, avoid sanctions. This, as today the NATO Secretary General came out and said that there's a big possibility of a Russian, Chinese, North Korean nuclear alliance that could, quote, challenge the New World Order. He specifically said World Order. I just happen to say New World Order because that's usually what we're used to talking about here. This, as Jens Stoltenberg specifically warns that a Russian victory in Ukraine would only embolden China, as of course China has been very interestingly sitting on the side of this conflict, as it's also important to note here that they have extensive business ties with Ukraine. I think China is going to be angry that a lot of the rebuilding contracts have already been given out to BlackRock and not them, and it's pretty fair to understand here that whoever wins Ukraine will definitely reshift the balance of the current world order. This, as of course a lot of attention and eyes are on Taiwan. Lots of craziness, lots of instability in this world. But hey, personally I'm happy I have LukeUncensored.com, our own platform where we get to say and do whatever we want. We're going to be doing a special video report today, only available for members. The video is available right now in the making of this one, and we're going to be getting into some very spicy topics, to say the least, that we cannot discuss here on this particular broadcast. I just gave you a little quick perspective here into some of the stuff we're going to be talking about, as well as continuing to answer your questions. If you have a question for me, the best way to ask it is through our forum, is through our AMA that we are doing right now. And just for 50 cents a day, you can be a part of the conversation, be a part of future expanding, growing projects that we're all working on together, all for just 50 cents a day while supporting this independent media organization. This is one of the best ways to do it, but also the best ways to find like-minded individuals and get exclusive offers, events, meetups, you name it. We're all going to be doing it. I spend a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on my members area. It's not just a video that you get almost every single day. You get a lot of exclusive access and perks to a lot of things that could definitely help you out in the long run, including, of course, entire master classes on survival training, which you could download in one click of a button. If you're a member, I recommend doing this just in case if, the grid falls down, the internet's cut off, there's an EMP, solar flare, you name it. Hey, being able to have real life physical copies that are not on the internet would be very helpful. So yeah, if you're a member and if you haven't downloaded our training course, do it right now with one click of a button, and you'll be a lot better off than a lot of other people who are not prepared for whatever will come their way. So see you there for that discussion right after this video. As of course, we're still not done with our main topic that we're here to discuss, and that is the very changing business world. As of course, financially, things are getting more desperate, not just for the average citizen, but for the money-hungry bureaucrats that can't get enough of money and control for themselves, as New York is now proposing a 95% cigar tax. This, as already in New York, cigars are taxed at 75% of their wholesale price, already some of the highest in this entire country. Now they're trying to make it 95%. Why? Well, essentially the government is a big welfare queen that demands your hard-earned income, which they largely transfer over to some of the richest, most powerful people in this world. One of these super rich individuals is, of course, Stephen Curry, a very famous sports ball, b-ball player who now is protesting affordable housing being built near his $30 million home, as of course Stephen Curry, a very prominent liberal of many liberal activist causes, is declaring he's a liberal when it's convenient to him and a staunch advocate of private property when it comes to the poor's, the wages, and the serfs daring to want to live next to him. And of course, what he is making is chump change compared to, of course, the big industries that have hijacked entire levels of government, not only giving them no liability against their product, but also being their #1 consumer and marketing base. This, as Pfizer, a major pharmaceutical, is set to receive a record $100 billion through its revenue in 2022. Why? Well, They essentially manipulated the government to be able to do whatever they wanted to the point where the government is now selling their product. And as they get super rich, the average American is finding it harder and harder to make ends meet, as of course all the taxes and regulations are pretty much going to Pfizer, and you're left with your pockets out of your pants, as there's even a new study talking about how inflation has even affected people earning more than $100,000 a year who allegedly are living paycheck to paycheck. How bad is the economy? That's how bad it is. But as this unaccountable big pharma agency rakes in record profits, screwing everyone else over, is that gravy train going to, of course, continue? Well, that's a big question of discussion right now. This has recently, the big pharma agency had a little bit of a marketing snafu with one of their employees that came out and talked about how they were doing very dangerous work. This as more and more people are deciding to decline their procedure. This as the President of the United States just announced that he is ending the health emergency on May 11th. And with that, a lot of the security and funding that has been given to Big Pharma will also go away. This, as a lot of people are asking themselves, will there be a reckoning to the big industries that have clearly failed us? Well, only time will tell, but this is a spicy topic that we have to be very careful reporting on, since YouTube has allegedly sent out an urgent guidelines in order to censor people talking about a story, even just related to this big pharma agency, which we will continue on LukeUncensored.com. That discussion plus a lot more happening right now. See you there right after this one. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively watching and sharing these videos, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.